Honda wanted to capture everything great about summer in one word: Summerbration. That's in the Honda Summerbration sales event. Now throw in some meat and fire, and you have a Barbabration. Hurry in and get a 2017 HRV for 0.9% APR from KBB.com's best value brand at your Honda dealer.
Visit your Metro Milwaukee Honda dealer today during the Honda Summerbration sales event.
Based on 2017 Brand Image Awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit KBB.com for information. APR financing offers available for well-qualified buyers. See dealer for financing details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my Friday edition of Sim's Chat Corner. So happy to be back this week from New York, which I had an absolutely wonderful visit. Today, I'm so excited to announce that I'm going to be interviewing this beautiful young lady. She's Italian, she's talented, she's beautiful, and she's philanthropic to the nines. I'm just so very excited to have her on. Her name is Dahna Bender. So without further ado, let's get her on the line and start chatting with her. Hi, Dahna.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm just going to have to correct you. I know it looks like Dana because the H is uses paper. That's okay, but it's actually pronounced Donna. The H makes the A long. Yeah, D-A-H-N-A. But don't worry. Everyone calls. I have a few people that still call me Dana Donna just because they don't know.
Really? Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious. I could just go through the whole interview and just say you, her, da-da-da-da-da. Well, thank you for doing that because I think Tanya might have told me that, and that's my mistake. Okay, so Dahna. Yeah. Okay,
Dahna,
wonderful.
Dahna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I have tons of questions to ask you, but it seemed only fitting to commence this interview by stating the obvious, and if I pronounce this correct, I find you to be nothing short of Beliza? Is that how it's pronounced? Because I know you're Italian, so I'm assuming.
Basilise? Is that what you're looking to say?
Yes, that's probably what I'm looking to say.
Yeah, that
was my very bad attempt.
That's my married name. Yeah, Bender is my maiden. It's interesting actually because Bender is my maiden name, which doesn't sound Italian at all. I was adopted from Italy.
Right.
And so my birth name was Massari. That was the birth last name. And then when I was adopted, it became Bender. And then I got married, and it's Basilise, which went back to Italian.
Look at that, my goodness. And you kind of took the words out of my mouth. Obviously, to those that don't know, you hail from Roma, Italy, which is where you started to begin with, which is, oh, my God, such a country of culture and beauty and just extraordinary wine, I have to say, because I like Italian wine.
I came over at 6.5 months, so I didn't get to enjoy any of that. But
I was just going to say, and I know that you left at such a young age, so I guess my question to you is have you been able to kind of go back and maybe enjoy the country and to be able to kind of go back to those grassroots since you were born from there?
Interestingly, I only went back about 3 years ago with my husband. I never went back before that. I never really had not that much of a desire, really. When you're born, when you're adopted into a home that was pretty much as perfect as mine was and have a childhood the way I did, I never really just wanted to go back. My mother would always ask me, do you want to go see where your roots are and things? And I really never had an interest. But then when I got older and I married my husband, who was not from Italy but is Italian, he said, you really got to go see it. And I did, and I'm really glad that I did get to see where I was born and visit the country.
I gotcha. Okay, now I know that, of course, your sister, Lisa, did she have her origins there in Italy as well, or had she been from someplace else originally? Okay.
No, actually, she was born here in Brooklyn. She was, how they do it is, years back ago when you didn't go through lawyers, they went through Angel Guardian Home in Brooklyn. They tried to, the first child was my sister, and my dad was German, Irish, and Polish, so they tried to match up that heritage, and she was German, Irish, and Polish, but she happened to be from the United States. And then when they went back 3 years later, my mom is Italian, they asked if they wanted an Italian baby from Italy. Back then they did do international adoptions, and they said, of course. So they got made.
Ah, look at that. Well, they've got the both of you, obviously, both yourself and your sister, clearly. And
imported and domestic.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's the perfect combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your story because I know it has a unique twist because not all of us, we normally have the normal homestead, whereas with you had a very different reality, meaning that you were in the orphanage and actually adopted by the Benders of Long Island. These two loving folks had offered to you a lifestyle study in dance and song, and as I understand it, they've established a very successful insurance company in Long Island as well.
Yes.
I'd like to ask, what do you personally most admire about your family, about them? Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, what's interesting is just give you a little quick background. My mom was actually the one that grew up in the orphanage. Louise was the one that grew up in the orphanage. So she was 12. And then she went into a foster home, and unfortunately was treated like a foster kid, exactly what you would think that a foster kid would be treated like. When they had steak, she was eating liver. And then when she met my dad at 21 and married my father, and my dad was blind his entire life. He was actually blind from birth, but very determined and very smart, and the two of them started a insurance business together from inception, ground up. And then when they couldn't conceive and have children of their own, they went back to Angel Guardian Home, where my mom lived as an orphanage till 12 in the orphanage. It was no longer an orphanage. It actually became an adoption agency. So that's how they were able to adopt my sister and I. And how the adoption works overseas back then was it was through immigration of Italy. And then, and I was the first and last baby to come over. Usually took a few years to get kids from Italy, but the nuns went over there and tried to cut down the paperwork, and they did. And I came over as a 6.5-month-old child. And interestingly, right after our little group of kids, they stopped international adoptions to the United States. So I just made it by the
That's
real
awesome.
quick. Yeah. So, and then what really I think people have to understand is that I believe that when people adopt, it's a selfless act. You're taking in not that it's not your child, it's not your blood-related child. You really have to want this child and want to love it, and it's a selfless, loving, completely. It's an act of grace, and I was very blessed to go into a wonderful home. I was loved and treated as their own. I was 6.5 months old, so as you can see, you don't remember anything when you're that little. And all I remember is these were my parents. They always told me from when I was a little child, we were adopted. Both my sister and I, they explained what it was, and instead of being, they would make it sound that I was picked. Really positive, always positive influences around the adoption. And an interesting thing that my mom would say to us is, even you were not born under my heart, you were born in my heart.
Aww.
So, yeah, and it was it's an inspiration to have a blind father, to have parents that loved you like that and took you in. It was really a wonderful experience.
Oh, definitely. That was one of the things I wanted to ask, too, is because of this experience, do you feel that you might feel inclined at some point in time to lend your talents to aid in the cause of child placement?
I wish I had 10 of me, because I have so many kind of organizations that I would love to help and get involved with. Right now, I'm doing the animal puppy mill commercial with dog breeding, bringing attention to that and making this CD. It's kind of engulfed my life in a wonderful, positive way, and I'm so glad I'm doing it. But yes, in the future, there are three areas that I believe need help in the world: animals, children, and the elderly. Because unfortunately, those are the three areas of neglect and the weak. But yes, I would love to be involved with something like that in the future.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Now, I also wanted to ask you as well, your sister, Lisa. Now, obviously, you have this beautiful musical talent. Is she creative or artistic, ironically, or does she carry anything like that?
She actually, again, we're not blood related because she came from here and I came from Italy, but my parents did push us into music. I happen to have had a natural singing talent, and she started taking piano lessons, and yes, she became very successful in piano. She didn't use it as a career, but she was very talented in it. So we used to sing, and my father would have us singing at local little places. She'd play and I'd be singing.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now, one of those standard questions that I like to ask in terms of musicians is that depending on the family that you come from, some families will kind of look at you and be like, okay, you have this musical passion, and then, sit you down and say, honey, it's wonderful to have this great passion, but, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you might have more of a sound future. Was there ever hesitancy from them at any point in time that you should maybe try something a little more solid in terms of a career?
No, not at all, actually. My father was 150% behind me, to the point where I loved singing and I loved performing when I was younger, but I never really had that desire to try to be an artist and famous. He had more of the desire than I did.
Sure.
But so I actually ended up going back to school and not abandoning the singing, but just incorporating it more as a hobby and keeping, obviously, when you love to sing, it's a part of you and you always want to. And I sing the Anthem for the Islanders. I've been doing that for 20 years. So I keep my hand in it. But I never really 100% pursued it as a career because it wasn't. You really have to want it. It's a rough business. It's a tough business. And if you're not willing to go there 100%, as I was, it's really not a good idea. It's hard enough for the people that really want to do it. But no, they were 100% supportive of whatever it is that I really wanted to flourish in. And so that was great.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. Terrific. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I know that at the age of 6 you began your musical training. Obviously you did some study with the legendary vocal coach, Katie Agresta. Did I say that right?
Katie Agresta, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, in being such a youthful student, which components of her teaching do you think eventually served you best in terms of your performances?
Well, she was trained classically. So so that's what she passed on. She's definitely a classical trained teacher, and a lot of what's most important in teaching is breathing techniques, and that's actually probably the number one most important, because you can't really take someone who can't sing and make them sing, but what you can take is a raw talent that can sing and learn how to strengthen your muscle just like any other muscle. Like taking a ball player who has an innate natural talent and then just showing them how to make that talent better and embellish on their skills, and that's kind of how singing is. So Katie, I would say, using her background in classical training and also the breathing, it was very important. Those are the two skills that I'd say that I got from her. Okay, maybe we can provide to the listeners some of the other musical mentors with whom you have been educated by, if there are additional ones, which I assume. And then also, are you at all versed in instrumental performing? Well, I studied music, so I know how to read music, but I've never mastered any instrument. I can play a little piano, I can play a little guitar, but no, the actual instrument part is not something that I kind of gravitated towards. The singing was mainly because it came very easy. Really? I sang and I didn't have to work hard at it. You had to work hard at playing the piano, and I was one of those kids. They didn't have ADD back then. They didn't diagnose that, so I couldn't sit still for very long and learn and play the piano. But, I understand music, obviously, and on my CD I help arrange and I help produce. But, no, I never mastered an actual instrument. And as far as talent, again, I grew up with you kind of grow up with what your parents listen to. And I was brought up with big band. I love big band. Nat King Cole, probably my favorite artist. Love that man. Best voice ever. Yeah. Barbra Streisand, Perry Como. Those are the things. Ella Fitzgerald. Those are the people that I grew up with. Frank Sinatra. And then as I got older, I gravitate more towards pure voices, because that's just what I like to listen to. I love and appreciate all music. But I would say, the Celine Dion's of the world, how could you not love her voice? But I like that kind of music, just a very pure sound. Okay. And if I were to ask you, do you think the future, or at least somewhere down the road here, you may be inclined to try to take some further educational
musical educational training?
You mean as far as study?
Yeah, as far as study. I'm sorry.
No, probably not. Only because, again, I'm not looking to pursue any kind of artist career. The reason that I made this CD was because that's my talent. I can sing, but really, and I needed something to be able to promote, to gain awareness and to make money and bring funds to the organization that I'm involved with that we'll talk about. So it was just a natural progression to use my voice, because I do love to sing, but it's not about me actually performing or ever trying to make it as a career. It's totally a self-funded project for the benefit of this certain organization that I picked that we'll talk about. Right, correct. Okay. Well, speaking of which, I know that animal rescue is one cause that I assume is near and dear to your heart. Yes. I'm curious to ask you now, is this in part because you've had some form of bad experience in your past, or was there some special significant event, or did you just opt in willing to say, this is who I want to help? Well, I think that you are who you are from your childhood. So my father was an avid animal lover, and we post some things on Facebook and on my webpage, and more things will come out so people can identify with why I am doing what I'm doing. But yes, that's exactly correct, that I identify with animals because I was brought up with them. My father, we always had stray dogs, we always had cats, guinea pigs, rabbits. My father he was the guy that would, in the family, the father would be like, can we keep them, please, instead of the kids coming home. Be my dad saying that. So, yes, I do, I gravitate towards that from my childhood. But then just, I think, any person realizing, especially with this commercial breeding, a.k.a. puppy mills, you just have to see one picture or know one fact about it. And, unless you have no heart, it's impossible to not want to try to do something or help in some way, even just making yourself aware and being knowledgeable of what it is and what not to do so you don't take part in adding to helping commercial breeding stay alive. But for me, the fact that I had the finances and the ability to go further with that, I am definitely gravitated towards that. Okay. Understandable, of course, obviously. Now, before we discuss National Mill Dog Rescue, I just wanted to ask you, to date or to this point, what do you find to be the most rewarding element of your collaboration with them? So far, and this is very new, we're in the very beginning. We've only done this, we're probably about 4 weeks into this. And I actually found the National Mill Dog Rescue from a lovely woman, Barbara Dennehy, who works in New York under another organization, mainly goes after legislation in New York. That's her fight to change legislation so individual municipalities in New York State can make their own decisions on whether or not they want pet stores or not. And she also pickets in front of pet stores, so that's her main thing. And I became friendly with her. And when I told her I want to focus on a puppy mill organization that rescues, that recovers, I gave her a whole idea of what I was looking for. She gave me the National Mill Dog Rescue information, and I went right to them. I talked to Teresa Strader, who is the founder and director, president, owner, and it's a nonprofit organization, and I just fell in love with what she does immediately. I didn't need to look further because there are a lot of organizations that do wonderful things that help educate people about commercial breeding and puppy mills, but I believe that people, places, and things gravitate towards you when you have a mission, and there was no need for me to look any further. What they do is she goes out, and she's been in business for about 7 years. They've recovered and rehabilitated about over 7,000 dogs. At this point, there are only about 10 employees, and the only people that are paid are the 2 vets and I believe some 2 assistants. Everybody else is completely volunteer, including Teresa. And she's a full-time oncology nurse, which, so she has a full-time life and does this full-time. So that's right there is a selfless, wonderful thing. And she rescues them. She rehabilitates them in her own facility now. She was able to, she's grown to that point, and then she rehomes them. And it's heart-wrenching to see what she does, from beginning to end. And it's so wonderful to know that there is a woman out there that has devoted her life to this. So it was a no-brainer when I met her.
That's great.
Well, I didn't meet
wonderful.
her yet. Tanya from Gem Media Magazine, her and I are going in April. I'm going to get Tanya on the airplane. FYI, she doesn't like flying.
Oh, look at that. My goodness. I want to give a proper summation of the mission, of course, revolving around the National Mill Dog Rescue, which is to rescue, rehome, and rehabilitate discarded breeding dogs. Now, I'm amazingly proud to state that over the course of 5 years, this organization has placed and rescued approximately 7,000 puppy mill survivors. So kudos to them, and kudos to you, of course, to offering your heart to such a worthy charity. Maybe you could describe in depth a little bit more about what you've noticed in terms of the Mill Dog Rescue's offerings and how any one of us individuals, meaning here in Wisconsin, New York, or otherwise, can lend a hand to this worthy organization.
Well, I think obviously if you're going right on their website and making a donation, that first and foremost, they are in dire need of finances to keep the organization alive, to continue to do the work that they do. That's number one. Number two is to spread the word. A lot of people don't really know, which is what I want to do, what a real commercial dog breeding facility is, puppy mills, how they operate, how they get their puppies to where they go. So educate yourself on what that is, and all the information is on our website. I'll tell you some of it, but all you have to do is Google it, and there's a plethora of information out there to educate yourself and then pass it along to other people so they know, okay, if you're going to be 100% sure that you're not going to get a puppy mill puppy, so then this way, if you don't get the puppy mill puppy, the puppy mill mom and dad don't live in the puppy mills. That's what you're trying to stop. So to guarantee that the organizations hopefully end up becoming obsolete, don't buy a puppy mill dog. So I can't say legally 100% of the time, but to be sure that you're not going to get a puppy mill dog, don't buy from the pet store, because it's a high level of they're getting them from commercial dog breeding. So those are ways, really educating yourself, not buying from pet stores, and donating your to funds to the organization. And if you live near the organization, all these kind of commercial, the puppy mill organizations, the nonprofit ones that go after them, I'm sure you can volunteer. I know that Teresa has a program, if you live in Colorado, obviously, that you can come and she'll interview you, and if you're willing to give your time, that would help tremendously too.
Oh, definitely. And any little bit helps, obviously. I mean, regardless of where you're living and financially or otherwise, you can give a little something. That's just the whole point there, as I've always said before. Just give what you can. You may not have a whole lot, but something is, a little bit of everything adds up,
Right.
I also
and even if
noticed.
it's just,
oh, go ahead, dear.
Sorry. Even if it's just educating yourself and passing that along, that helps them also.
Oh, definitely.
On what
that goes without saying.
commercial dog breeding is.
Now, I also wanted to note that your philanthropic arm also found itself extended last year to the American Humane Society Red Star Animal Emergency Service. And working from them, just give us a comparative difference here. How is their mission as compared to the National Mill Dog Rescue? Do they do the same thing somewhat? Is it different? How do they work themselves?
Oh, it's very different. Well, last year, actually, how this all began was over the summer. I had decided with my husband, I said, well, let's make a Christmas CD, because I love Christmas, and I love the music, and I think all people tend to, whether what religion or nationality you are, I think a lot of people can appreciate at least the Christmas music season and all that goes around it. So I decided to make the CD, and I originally wanted to partner with an organization like National Mill Dog Rescue, but then in the wake of Hurricane Sandy and right in my own backyard, we experienced a little bit of devastation, not anywhere near some of my friends and other people that people have seen on the news. We decided to switch gears just because I didn't have an organization. It was and it was quick that we put this all together, and Christmas was coming, and this wonderful organization was brought to my attention. So I, again, decided to give last year's CD, the profits, to them. That association is a huge association. It's FEMA recognized, it's government recognized, it is non-for-profit, but it's a corporation, and it's wonderful what they do. Their Red Star division goes in and rescues, recoveries, educates, and they go after children and animals. So, of course, donating to them is really important too. They have a lot of programs where you can volunteer with them and really get into the trenches. Completely different organization, though. It has nothing to do with puppy mill or anything like that.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's rescue and recovery from disaster, which made sense because it was right in our backyard and they were right here helping us.
Right, of course. Do you think that the success of this particular CD that you did made a positive difference regarding that organization?
Oh, yes, definitely. It absolutely did. I mean, they're the kind of organization where they didn't necessarily need, they have a lot of famous people on their website, and they have a tremendous amount of support, but the reason why it was helpful on my end and successful to them on my end is because I was a local person that experienced Sandy. So it brought it home and made it a little more personal to people.
That's wonderful, absolutely. Do you foresee yourself, and this is just a hypothetical, of course, as the years go by, like after this Christmas CD is done, then the following year you'll elect another charity and do the same thing? Is that something you've considered?
Well, yes, we absolutely have decided to build on this over time. Again, it's a small project, but I just partnered with the marketing PR firm, Gem Media Marketing, and we have a vision to bring it to a national level. We want to do that this year and go beyond. I want to bring in if I could get other celebrity artists to take part and believe in our mission and help us. Yes, I want to help other organizations. I continue to help the National Mill Dog Rescue. I'm considering maybe setting up a foundation in the future. Yeah, it's going to be a never-ending project. I hope that will just grow and grow and grow. And really, in my lifetime, I would love to be able to put an end to commercial dog breeding altogether.
Of course, certainly. And what a worthwhile cause that is. I mean, you're dedicating your time and your efforts to something that's just atrocious in this world, and certainly something that I know that some people carry a passion for in terms of rectifying the situation. Mm-hmm. I want to take a moment to talk about I can surmise that some of your musical magic that you put together has been enhanced through the meshing of your music with industry moguls Jimmy Greco and, of course, producer Russ DeSalvo. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how do these powerhouses, do you feel, enhance you both personally as well as professionally in your music?
Well, besides that I threatened them, and if they didn't do the project with me.
They had no choice, really.
Yeah, I came to the house with a loaded gun and said, "Buds, you helping or you going out?" Just like the New Yorker I am. No, but
sure.
I've known him for a long time, about 20 years, and I've dabbled in music a little bit years ago. Not really again pursuing it as an artist, but I love them. They're great guys. It's very hard to find really great people in the music industry like these two. Well, the both of them in their own right are successful and have tremendous accolades. Jimmy, he does a lot of mixing with J-Lo and Carlos Santana, and he has his own record company, Ergo Music, which we put my CD under. Russ DeSalvo has written songs for Celine Dion and has done a lot of producing also, and Jimmy also producing of their own artists. Frankie Negron, which is he's actually he's a Latin artist that has been very, very successful under Jimmy's label. And they have really brought to the table a diverse talents. We're all very different, and the three of us collaborating together, and we work well together again because we've known each other for so long, and they respect me as not just an artist, but someone that can contribute for the production part and the arrangement part. And we just really worked very, very well together. Again, being friends for so long and having a respect of each other's diverse talents and ideas. And we came up with what, we believe happened to be a very nice 6-song EP.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I would have to agree with that. I would definitely concur with that assessment.
Thank you.
Let us talk. Oh, you're quite welcome. The raving will continue. I wanted to talk a bit about, of course, I was taken aback by this because I didn't realize, of course, that you had such an enjoyment out of performing the national anthem. In 1992 was your initial performance, of course, with the New York Islanders. And then, of course, I know that your next appearance is shortly coming up, which is on March 24th. How is doing live performance in comparison to actually recording, and which is your preference, do you think? Because most of us don't get to perform one venue or the other. Tell us how that compares, and like I said, which do you prefer?
Well, I'm unique in this. So I would say that most artists and singers that want to become artists and out there and perform like the live part. I do not love the live part, which is another reason why you really can't pursue singing if you don't really love singing live.
Okay.
So I love the studio part. I love singing in general, but the studio part for me is easier because I don't get nervous. When I sing live, I tend to get very, very nervous. Now, the reason I sing the anthem is because I was given a talent. I was 20 years ago. It fell into my lap, and I felt that God gave me this talent. God is giving me the opportunity to actually sing the anthem when plenty of other people would love to do it. I have to do it. I just felt that it's my responsibility. I have to do it. So I keep doing it, but I get very nervous. I'm like Barbara Streisand, how they say she doesn't like to perform live.
Oh, really? Honestly?
Yeah. My husband can't talk to me for about a week. All I do is recite the words, every night. I'll say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Like, over and over and over.
Right.
And then about 2 hours before, you actually have to be there like 3 hours before. But I know the team. I don't know the players, but I know the organization very well. So I just sit. I be quiet. My husband knows. Don't talk to me. Let me just go into the bathroom, fix my makeup, do my little song. And then
really?
when that, you ever been to a hockey game when that song? It's like,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
That's the band representation of it, but and then all my head's pounding, my heart's beating. And then every so often, they'll throw something my way. Like just recently, last year when I sang, they had these girls from a high school. They were signing it, which is beautiful. They signed it next to me. And I didn't know until I got there. So when we rehearsed, they walked out first, and then I walk out, and I'm between them. And it dawns on me right before we're about to go on, and all the lights are off, and we're in that little Zamboni corner.
Right.
I grab the last girl, and I go, you're not listening to me for the words, are you? I almost had heart failure because I'm like, if I mess them up, I'm going to have flailing hands in my face, and they're going to be like, what? It's her fault. She said the wrong words. So, yes, I don't love performing live, I like doing it in the studio better, if that answers your question.
Oh, my God, it most definitely does. And I guess I'm kind of taken aback by that because you, just in looking at your pictures and this being the first time speaking to you, you look like you magnify such a stage performance. You know what I mean? You have the looks, you have the personality, you're confident. I guess that really surprises me. Wow.
Yeah, I know. It surprises a lot of people. It does.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, look at that. You live and you learn, folks. Listen to this. Every new day I have a new interview.
I'll talk forever. I'll talk in public. But the minute you ask me to sing, I'm like, humana. Somebody holds my hand.
Well, now I feel a whole lot better, too, because I thought to myself, oh, my God, 5 minutes before I go on air, I'm like, holy shit, for lack of a better term. It's just like I can't breathe. I get nervous. I have to call somebody. I'm like, can you believe that I'm going to be talking to so-and-so on the radio in like 5 minutes? And this happens to me every week. I'm like, I got nervous. I didn't have to call anybody today with you. Thank you, goodness, because I didn't have time. I was like, rush in. Let's get on the radio. That's it. So I'm like, oh, yesterday, Sons of Anarchy cast member. I'm like, oh, my God, I think I'm going to drop my jaw right now. So I know exactly.
Why do you do it? But you still do it, right?
Oh, I have a huge, immense passion. I think if I didn't do this, I would probably fall apart. So it's kind of like, you kind of pony it up and like, all right, I got this. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. I don't know. I couldn't sing every day. It would make me crazy. But I sing the anthem because I do have a passion. I do love it. And when I'm done, I'm so happy I did it. And I've never screwed it up yet, knock on wood.
Good for you. Kudos. I'll be crossing my fingers for you and thinking of you the morning or afternoon of the 24th.
You can think of that.
So, exactly. Now, let's talk about, obviously, this year's the Christmas CD, Giving of the Heart. Now, I understand that is to aid displaced kids and animals who fell victim to Hurricane Sandy. And I know that in December of 2012 that you had a charity concert in New York City's Canal Room for the benefit of Hurricane Sandy as well. So, of course, I'm seeing kind of a predominant theme here, so, of course, it has to ask the question, was it both yourself and friends that you knew that were affected? Were you heavily affected as a result of the national disaster?
Yes, I actually, Russ, our producer, was one of them. A tree fell on his house directly, thank God, they weren't home, and it went right through. They just got into their house yesterday, literally.
Oh, my God.
All the electric, everything. And it wasn't just flooding. It was just the winds, the high winds. I have another girlfriend that lives in Long Beach. She, again, just recently got money and was able to go, start work on her house. And then if you look in Staten Island, there was devastation. Houses gone. Yeah, it's so sad. We had a house out east on the water, and we were blessed that we had very little flooding in the basement, but we lost the backyard. We have a bulkhead, so all the property, we now have a beach because all the property went out into the ocean, into the Peconic. But again, we were blessed compared to what other people did experience. So yeah, it was really scary, really, really scary. Friends lived in Massapequa, talking to them on the phone. They were putting on wetsuits, the neighbor, and swimming across the street. It was surreal. It was like a war zone. The houses were going on fire. It was really, really, really scary. It's scary to realize how national disaster you have no control over.
And the thing is, too,
and to be devastating.
Right, and we, of course, as Midwesterns, because, of course, I live over here in Wisconsin, we say to ourselves, okay, we have this national tragedy that goes on, and then, of course, we're always curious to not only to watch, because we were privy to watching some of the stuff that was going on in terms of the hurricane, but then wondering at this point in time, in your assessment, where would you say that the city is at this point recovery-wise? Are you guys kind of back on your feet as best as you can right now? Are you still needing help?
No. Unfortunately, there's, I believe, over 2,000 homeowners. I know my husband has this statistic because he's involved with building hurricane homes. There's still people that are homeless, and unfortunately, the help for them has not been that successful.
Oh no. That is so sad to hear, too. Yeah. And you feel so powerless when you're, all the way over here, and it's kind of like, are there things that we can do? That's another big thing that I'm an advocate for is what can we do here? Are there organizations that we can give to besides American Red Cross, or one that's been particularly helpful that you know of that you think would work?
How do I be politically correct with this one?
You could say whatever you want.
Okay.
Really, you can. On this show, you can say anything you want.
Okay, the government has completely dropped the ball. How's that? It's Katrina all over again. My husband actually worked with Brad Pitt in Make It Right, trying to rebuild New Orleans. It's still a disaster down there. Where it really is. FEMA has not given out any money. It's interesting. So many things get donated, and you never really see where it goes. So I don't know. I can tell you that politically, the government has dropped and still dropping the ball. People are not getting help. People are not getting help.
How very distressing is that, and ridiculous, and so unacceptable. I heard the same thing in New Orleans from my friends with, obviously, their devastation that went on, and it's a pitiful shame. I mean, we all, as citizens, pool together to try to help each other, but the reality is the government's here for a reason, and they're supposed to be helping you, especially in times of need where you need help.
Yeah,
Goodness gracious.
It's really sad. And my husband is directly involved with the government. He goes to Washington few times a month dealing with this, because what he makes is can help them, and and he's right there in the midst of it, and his hands are tied, because unless they release funds, and apparently they don't have funds, and it's just one big political cluster. With another word.
And we all kind of assume that, but we're like, well, because it's not there or whatever have you, and that kind of jazz, it's kind of difficult. And I was just in New York, but I just didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time to check on that portion. I was in Staten Island, Long Island, and, just kind of toured around a little bit and stuff, and I wish I would have had more time to kind of check some more things out. So, certainly know this, that even though we are in the Midwest or anywhere else, our hearts are with you all of the time, because we can only imagine what it's like to live through something like this. So our hearts definitely go to you.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Very true, though. You're quite welcome, my goodness. Now, let's talk a minute about your voice. Now, in my personal opinion, I think your sound, and this is just me saying this, I think you resemble one of my idols of all time, which is Patsy Cline. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard that.
Oh, wow. No, I've never heard that. But I appreciate that very much.
No, that's okay.
I'll
listening.
start spreading that word.
Yeah. Well, on Sin's chat course, she just told me today, Patsy Cline, okay? That's about as high up as you get on the ranks there, There's just something about your voice. And just in listening to the different songs that I was listening to, I'm like, that's what I'm getting out of it. If I asked you to describe, how would you best describe your sound? I mean, would you say you have a country sound? How would you encapsulate that?
I think I just have a very pure sound. It's very clear. It's crisp. Again, I think a lot to do with my training. Not that I far from sound operatic, but it's just a very clear, crisp, pure sound, and that's probably why I gravitate to singers that sound like that. So I like to. That's why Christmas works so well for me, because those songs tend to be very pure, and you can sing them that way, rather. You can sing them any way you want, but they come across, with my kind of voice, that they will come across pretty much good. They'll all come, I can do it well with that kind of sound. I don't know if there's a certain artist that I say I sound like, but I would probably put myself, in like a Sarah McLachlan. She's a beautiful, clear, crisp voice.
Yeah.
We don't sound the same by any means, but she has a certain kind of voice. She has a little more soul than I do when she sings other songs. So kind of like that. I wouldn't say that I sound country. At least I haven't heard that from who I listen to it, and no one's ever told me that. But that's what I think I sound like.
I gotcha. That's an ironic twist, or I should say an ironic parallel there with Sarah McLachlan, of course, because she, of course, is heavily involved with the dogs and that sort of stuff with the commercials, the PSAs that she does. So ironic that you both are kind of in that same area.
We're going to try to reach out to her. That's one of our goals. I'd love to get her involved in this project. And I did one of her songs on the CD, which we're adding to this CD. We're going to keep these. I don't know if the Winter song it was called. Beautiful song.
Yeah.
She wrote it.
I remember.
Loved it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wonderful. And now you make sure to tell Tanya that she needs to pump this for all it's worth. Patsy Cline. That's what I said.
I think
definitely
she's
need that for bragging. Well, then there you go, Tanya. You heard it from the host herself. Do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
As a media person, you have to use everything you got, as you know.
Yes.
Are you in any way personally involved in song composition?
I do not write. No, I do not write music. I do not write lyrics, but I am very involved with the arrangement and the production part. So I know how I want to sing it and how I want the music to be arranged, and I know how I want it produced and how the song is going to go. But that is not my talent. Writing, not my talent. I think you have to sit still for too long for that for me.
Oh, you would be surprised, though. Some of my best pieces of writing are done wandering around my house or sitting in a backyard. Or, it's kind of a cool thing. But I give kudos back to you because, you know what, I don't sing a lick. And when I do, I'm embarrassed, and it's in the shower where no one can hear it. So I have a high respect. Most of my friends are musicians, and I'm like, how the heck do they do this? I mean, it blows my mind away that you have that talent. Kudos to you again.
Thank you.
Sure, you're quite welcome. Now, do you think you're going to continue on with this whole quote-unquote Christmas theme? Because I'm noticing a theme here as far as during Christmas time you're doing this sort of thing. And are you going to, do you think you'll do additional compositions throughout the year?
The reason why I'm staying with Christmas is because, again, I'm not promoting myself as an artist at all.
Right.
So, to me, first of all, Christmas is about giving. Again, I think people can relate to it, whether or not they celebrate it or not, and there are plenty of songs that aren't very secular sounding. It's just it's a season that people tend to gravitate to, and and there's happiness around it. So, because I'm not promoting myself as an artist, this is me, a philanthropist that has the finances and has the ability and the resources to help an organization with my music. I want people to. I don't want to do original songs because, again, that would be saying, she wants to be an artist. I don't really want to put myself in, okay, I'm going to start doing top 40 or I'm going to do big band music. Because I think not everybody likes top 40 and everybody likes big band music. I wanted it to be something that could be more kind of go across generations and go across, and every year. Christmas happens every year. So I just thought that was the best avenue for me to keep singing and doing Christmas things. The only other thing that I do is the anthem. So, like when we're going to start coordinating these events again this year, and I'm hoping not just in the city, I want to do it on Long Island, anywhere that we can get. I'd love to do one in Colorado since that's where the organization is, and get not just me. I don't just do it. How it works is I'll do one or two songs, and then I get other artists, other famous artists, Broadway stars. That's how we did it last year, and then they sing too. Because again, it's not about me just being a singer or an artist. Besides, I don't like being live, which we've acknowledged. So my goal is to get other people, and I think all other artists, it's an easy Christmas. Everyone sings Christmas, so knows Christmas. So it just kind of fit perfect to gravitate other people to even want to take part in it. So obviously now it's February, it's March now. So Tanya and I are going to events. I don't know if I'm going to be singing a Christmas song, but if people do have the need to hear me sing, which I understand and I appreciate, because that's what I am saying, that my voice, to sell the CD, and I'm offering the anthem. So that's it. I said I'll start your event with the anthem, and then when Christmas time comes, we'll do a Christmas song. So I'm really just staying in that direction, just to stay focused and to really keep the understanding that I'm not an artist trying to become famous. I'm using my singing talent on Christmas songs each year to build a momentum, to get awareness, help, money, funds for different organizations, and mainly, my goal is really the puppy mill commercial breeding, eradicating that.
Gotcha. So I was right dead on my last question, so I don't even need to ask you. I was going to ask you, which describes you musically? To either achieve a heightened modicum of success to establish your name, or to consistently use your skills for greater good? I don't even need to ask, because I think you just answered your question actually twice in this interview. That kind of goes without saying, of course. The one thing I wanted to highlight here, or have you highlight rather, is can you just tell to our listeners who may not have had a chance to listen to Giving of the Heart, just kind of describe that song for them a little bit and let them know what they can expect by listening to it.
Well, there's 6 songs, and each one is arranged a little differently. Silent Night and A Holy Night I kept very pure and clean with beautiful background vocals, other singers singing background, very secular. And then I did Grown Up Christmas List. Amy Grant has done it. A lot of people have done it. And I kept it very simple again. I really picked that one because the words hit home to me about, about trying to make a difference and loving and not being negative and no war and no pain. And then Sleigh Ride, I wanted it to be like, you know the song by the Claudettes, Mr. Sandman? It goes bum, 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 bum. I said, we're reinventing, Sleigh Ride is going to be the Claudettes meets Wilson Phillips. And that's how I arranged that one. And we actually I said, we got to get a bum bum in there. So there are bum bums in the song if you listen. And we're going to do another one this year like that, like a Claudette kind of feel. I wanted it to be happy. And then, of course, I did one like just straight big band, Winter Wonderland, just good old, some horns and jazzy sound, kind of sounding. And then Winter Song, it's not really a Christmas song. It's the Sarah McLachlan one. She mentioned Christmas in it. It's a beautiful song about loss, and I dedicated it to two people in our family that had passed this year. It's just touching. And whether it doesn't really sound Christmassy, again, she references Christmas in it, but it's just, and it's pure. It was very simple with a little bit of flute and acoustic guitar, very simple. I think the people that have heard it, I haven't had anybody tell me that, oh my God, we hate it. So I think everyone will like it. Yes.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. My goodness gracious. And I do have to say, on a side note, how very disappointed that I am, because I was just in New York and I was trying to pencil in to meet you personally. Very disappointed about that. Oh, it's so frustrating. There's just not enough time, and there's so many people to meet and everything. And the one thing I want to pass along to you, because you and my dear friend Heather Robinson, I don't know if you know her or not, have goals and from a philanthropic standpoint that align very closely to each other. So I think, just as a side note, perhaps you should connect with her in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
She's an amazing
know her.
girl.
I would love to meet her.
You should.
Absolutely.
You definitely should. You should know her. She is just, there isn't enough words to describe how much I adore her. She's just beyond wonderful. She's a Midwestern girl originally herself from Michigan, so I think that's why we connect so very well, because I'm from here. So you should definitely connect with her. There's two things that I wanted to say before we wrap up the interview, and now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to rattle these off for you, so you just let me know if I've forgotten anything. Of course, I know that you have a Facebook presence, of course, because we are connected there on Facebook. www, and I'll spell your name for people that don't know how for the website. That's Dahna Bender.com. I know that your music can be found on Amazon, on iTunes, on CD Baby. I know that you have a Twitter handle, which is at Dahna Bender, which is DAHNA BENDER. What am I missing? Anything else?
Well, you can buy the hard copy CD if you go to ergomusic.com. It's the record company. We didn't do national distribution last year because it was just like we had a 2-month window. But next year we're going to do national distribution where people will be able to buy it all over. But if you go to my website, it'll say if you want to buy the hard copy CD, because not everybody, I've learned, is as savvy into the technical world. But, and there are actually a lot of other places you could buy. We have like 15 different digital download places. So if you just Google my name, they all come up. So whichever one you're a part of, Amazon or whatever, you can download it.
Perfect. Absolutely wonderful. Well, let me say this much about you, my dear, even though I don't know how to pronounce your name until I do this interview. Thank you for correcting me. I got to say this much. You've got class. The 3 words that I'm thinking off the top of my head, beauty, class, and just a heart of gold. I can never say enough about individuals who take their time, their trouble, their heart, their efforts, their voices, or whatever have you, to donate to such worthy causes. This is over and above one of those causes that unfortunately doesn't get nearly enough media exposure, which I feel badly about. I think your voice, like I said, and I'm not lying to you, just Patsy Cline is just what resonates to me, and that tells me that you have a level and a substance to your music that people should appreciate, and that they should be part of your project, whether it's, every week, every month, every year. And I like the fact that you don't need to be the next Carrie Underwood. I like the fact that you have one set goal in mind that is your passion and you use it for good cause. So I couldn't be more delighted to have you on my show. I think you're amazing. I think you're wonderful. I'd like you to come back anytime you want to pump anything, or even if you want to chat, just about anything, or even talk more so about the dog rescue or the mission or what we can do. I think if we can spotlight on this a little bit more, I'd be thrilled to do so. And by the way, you have yourself an absolutely beautiful, lovely, and very, very sweet PR person. For those of you that don't know Miss Tanya Lee with Gem Media Marketing, she's a treasure, I got to say. I didn't get to meet her. I really didn't get to meet her either, and I was so disappointed. I'm like, I want to see all my PR girls, and she's one that I didn't get to see. So I feel kind of bad about that. But next time I told her, I said, Tanya, I'll be right there. Definitely. So I will certainly post all of your information on my show page, on my personal page, on the Blog Talk Radio page, so that everybody can go ahead and see it. And if you want to let your listeners know that in the next half an hour to an hour, this is going to become an archived episode. So anyone can go back at any given point in time and listen to our whole conversation. And I have a tech guy that's going to be putting these onto YouTube. And when it goes on there, and later on today, I will be incorporating some of your music into this interview. So at the very tail end, people will be able to listen to the stuff that you've got. So hopefully that will help you in the regard of sales.
Well, thank you so much, Tony, and you're so kind with all your words. And I have to say that, I understand, and you're giving me such accolade, but I kind of feel that when you're blessed and God gives you opportunity and riches in life, you really have to do something with it. So I don't pat myself on the back. I feel it's something I have to do. It's my God. It's my human right and my human. I must do it. You have to give back, but I appreciate that you're being so kind, and it is a selfless act, but it's one that I want people to know that everyone should really give back, in any capacity to the world, because that's what life's about, giving and loving and being supportive. But thank you so much for those kind, sweet words.
Definitely. Girls need to hear that. Girls need to get props all the time. And, I only give props to to individuals that are deserved. I don't put anyone on the show unless I feel they have some modicum of talent, something to offer to someone, and just someone that I can genuinely look back and say, I'm impressed with their ability. You're an impressive lady, and you should stand by that and be able to say, you know what, I'm good at what I do, and I'm proud of it. And I admire
Thank
that.
you.
And I'm proud to know you. Like I said, you got an open invitation. I'll let you get back to your day, and I unfortunately have to have another interview in an hour, so I have to prep all over again.
Well,
I'll let you go, Dal. I'm going to try, and if I am, I'll be on Facebook saying, help me, please, I can't handle it. Thank you, my darling.
So much,
you have
honey.
a
Thank
great
you for having me. Yes,
anytime here.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, bye.
Oh, my goodness, folks. Is she amazing or what? I just have to throw it out one more time just to find her. Look on her Facebook page. Her music can be found on either Amazon, iTunes, or CD Baby. Website again, www.BAHNABENDER.com. So once again, thank you, beautiful lady, for coming on to my show. A million thank yous, of course, again to Tanya Lee with Gem Media Marketing. I'm sure we'll be in contact in the near future, honey. And for all the rest of you who are looking for something else to do in the next hour, please, this happens to be our musical double back on Friday, which never usually happens. We're going to have the musical stylings of Angela Tristan. Very young, very sweet, lovely gentleman from the UK, actually. So we've had the female counterpart, so come on back and listen to the male counterpart. 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. And if not, you guys have yourself a great weekend, and we'll talk next week, Monday. Thank you.